Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining all of us on such a beautiful, sunny morning. When I ran for Congress last year, I made clear that my top priority would be delivering COVID relief for the people of Rockland and Westchester counties. I also made clear that fully funding our public schools was another top priority of mine. I said that as a proud graduate of East Ramapo Public Schools. The American Rescue Plan delivers $23 billion in direct aid to New York State and its municipalities. It also delivers over $240 million to K-12 schools in New York's 17th Congressional District for the purpose of safely reopening and building a better future for our public school and private school students. The East Ramapo Central School District will be receiving, according to the Congressional Research Service, $162 million. That is an historic level of funding that is unprecedented, and I'm really proud to have helped to deliver those funds to a school district that urgently needs it. Now, we are all familiar with the numerous challenges faced by the East Ramapo Central School District, and one of those areas of concern is the underfunding of this district. $162 million for public school students in the East Ramapo Central School District is, for that reason, a major step forward in ensuring that every kid in this district, and of course throughout New York State and this country, have a quality public education available to them. But this funding will only have its desired impact if it is used according to its statutory purpose. That is why today I'm proud to announce, along with Superintendent Dr. Giamartino, the creation of the East Ramapo Public Schools Advisory Task Force for the purpose of overseeing and advising the school district on how it should use the $162 million in historic funding that we've been able to bring back to this district through the American Rescue Plan. The objective of the Advisory Task Force is to inform, or to help inform, the school district's decision-making with respect to how the funding will be used, to create transparency in a community that has at times been skeptical of the decisions made by this school district with respect to funding, and of course to reinvigorate our community's commitment to the future of public school students in the East Ramapo Central School District. Some people have also asked, well, what about the private school students? And of course there is a separate funding mechanism in the American Rescue Plan, separate and apart from this $162 million that will be available to New York State to then allocate to private school students. It's important to clarify that. I've been hearing a lot of misinformation. In partnership with Superintendent Giamartino, we have identified a diverse group of stakeholders and community leaders from the public school community, and I'm so proud to be joined by so many of them behind me today. This is a task force that is representative of this beautifully diverse public school community here in the East Ramapo Central School District. And the task force will hold regular meetings to help advise the school district on how to spend this money and ensure that all funding is properly allocated. That is a commitment shared by myself and my office, Dr. Giamartino, and all of the people behind me and who will be serving on this advisory task force. When my colleagues and I wrote this legislation, when we wrote the American Rescue Plan, we were clear in our intent that the funding go to public schools that are most in need of this funding, and it's why this funding is the result of a Title I formula that looks at the number of school-aged children living below the poverty line in any given school district. It also looks at the level of concentration of poverty in those respective school districts. Let me be clear, as I said earlier, there is separate funding for the private school community in the American Rescue Plan, but this $162 million must go in furtherance of the education of public school students like I was when I was growing up in this very district. I stand before you as a proud graduate of the very high school behind me, Spring Valley High School. Go Tigers. As a proud product of East Ramapo Public Schools, getting this project right is personal to me. It is only through the quality public education that I received in this public school district that I was able to go to Stanford University, Harvard Law, and now stand before you as a member of the United States Congress representing this very district. And every kid in the East Ramapo Central School District should have and deserves to have those same opportunities. For that reason, this task force and the historic level of funding that is $162 million from the federal government for public school students represent a major step, a major stride forward in furtherance of that goal of ensuring that every kid in this state and in this district has what is guaranteed to them under the New York State Constitution, that being a sound basic education. So I look forward to working with the advisory task force in the weeks and in the months ahead. And the next person I want you to hear from is the distinguished superintendent of the East Ramapo Central School District, my friend and a tremendous leader and the co-chair of this advisory task force, Dr. Ray Giamartino. Thank you very much.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank Congressman Jones. He has been and continues to be at the forefront of leading transformation in the field of education as it relates to providing an assurance to each and every member of our community, each and every student in the East Ramapo Central School District, and in this region, an assurance that they will have equitable access to high quality programs and services that they so not only need, but deserve. His targeted focus has provided our ability to help him co-shepherd this plan with explicit support for our district on ensuring the ability to appropriately augment to and provide our students the resources necessary to compete with their peers. Resources our students not only deserve, but should have unfettered access to in a socially just environment. I am honored and committed to working side by side with Congressman Jones, this advisory task force, and our community to make sure we do the right thing and honor this good work and focus on our students and our community. We thank you. Congressman.
I'd now like to introduce a friend and mentor and the co-chair of the Spring Valley NAACP's Education Committee, Dr. Oscar Cohen, who has been a leading champion in this community for our public school students in educational equity.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm speaking today for our president of the Spring Valley branch, Billy Trotman. We had an appointment. He couldn't make it, and want to just express his appreciation and my appreciation for the gift that Congressman Jones has brought back home from Washington. I can't say welcome home because he's never left this community. He's always available, and he's always right where we all need him whenever the need is present. We are so grateful for the gift that this district has gotten from the federal government because of the suffering that it has experienced for the past 10 to 15 years. This shows that there is a ventilator available for this district. We are also mindful that this gift does not resolve the governance issues and the need for governance reform for the district, but it is a lifesaver, and I could not be more pleased that the two people running the task force are Dr. Giamartino and Congressman Jones. So once again, we're excited. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's going to be just wonderful work getting this very special gift. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce a leader in our community and now a member of the East Ramapo Public Schools Advisory Task Force, Pastor Ilarasa.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Congressman, and I'd like to thank the Superintendent for inviting me to be part of this task force. For the last 5 years, we've been hosting a mentoring program here in the East Ramapo Central School District. And one thing that I know for sure is, yes, Congress has delivered a gift to our district, but our children here are a gift also. And the proof of that is the Congressman himself. We have great leaders in this county, and these great leaders go to the school system here in East Ramapo Central School. And I believe that through this money that's going to be received here, great things are going to happen. And again, I thank Dr. Giamartino, and I thank the Congressman for the opportunity to be part of this advisory board, to be able to represent the community here in the East Ramapo Central School District. Thank you so much.
I also want to acknowledge another member of the advisory task force, a friend, a colleague, and a leader in our community, as well as a vice president of the East Ramapo Central School District Board, and that person is Sabrina Charles Pierre. She's here with us as well. Now, with that said, are there any questions?
I guess I just wanted to ask, back in March, there were about 30 jobs on the chopping block. I know they were saved, but, it's a big turnaround from being close to losing almost 30 positions and now getting this funding. Any response to that?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. When I talk about the fact that the East Ramapo Central School District is receiving $162 million in historic level of funding, I hearken back to the fact that approximately 1 month ago, about 32 staff positions were on the chopping block as a result of the underfunding in this district. And that is precisely what the American Rescue Plan was meant to keep from happening. And that is precisely why this level of funding is urgently needed. When you speak to the students and the teachers and the staff and other leaders, they will tell you that they will find very meaningful, urgent things to do with this level of funding, and it is precisely because of what you just described that we need it now. Dr. Giamartino, do you have anything to add to that?
That actually addressed it very nicely.
One of the things when we talk to a lot of parents now, and you went to the school, so maybe you can assess some of the things that you're feeling. They say that there's not a lot of programs, extracurriculars, the things that they had when they went to this district. And that's one of the things that they miss the most, seeing your children miss out on the things that they had an opportunity to enjoy and experience. Is there any sort of stipulations as to what this money needs to be spent on, or are there certain key areas that you're looking to apply it to?
The most important stipulation in the American Rescue Plan is that this approximately $162 million be used for public school students and their education. Next to that, there are a number of other stipulations. This is funding that must be used primarily for the purpose of safely reopening schools, but we know that anything that would help further the educational success of public school students is fair game, and that includes restoring the extracurricular programs that had to be or that were cut over the past several years. I know from personal experience, having been very active in the extracurricular space at Spring Valley High School, how much that experience meant to me, both from an enrichment standpoint and from a college application standpoint. And for that additional reason, I'm really excited that this funding is coming to East Ramapo. All right, well, thank you so much for being out here, and I so appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today.